It's important that a country decides we do not want children to be harmed by pornography, access to terrorism, which you, Jonathan, said yourself in your...
Today I'm going to be discussing the Online Safety Act in the UK, Spotify, and TAP. This is going to be more of a rant video than a legal analysis video. In the past, I have read through laws that I think were horrible, and I've explained why, line by line, I think it's bad for 2 hours going over 200 pages. That's not what I'm going to do here. This is more of a rant video, just going over it in general. What is the Online Safety Act? The Online Safety Act in the UK is a law that got passed in 2023. It went into effect very recently. It's one of those laws that's supposed to protect the terrorists from children and protect the children from terrorists. And I'll be honest with you, at this point, I may sound cheeky when I'm talking about this. It's just because every single time somebody decides that they want to fuck up the internet or fuck up fundamental freedoms, they tend to use porn, terrorism, children, and just this annoying circular thing. As bad as the United States is when it comes to consumer protection, it's almost like the UK and the EU are trying to be as bad when it comes to just fucking up the fundamental underpinnings of the internet. Whether we're talking about this law or we're talking about this person who thought that you could sniff encrypted communications like a dog at the airport. This person was saying, we don't want to get access to your signal messages. We don't want to read them. We just want to sniff them. And it's like, girl, that ain't how that works. This stuff is something that I don't have the patience for the way that I used to. So let's go over why it is so many people are up in arms about this law. Why are you concerned about this, Wikipedia? All this does is it concerns terrorists and children. Do you want children to be able to have access to terrorists? Here's why this is a bad law. It's very similar to the right to repair laws that I'll read on this channel sometimes, where it says, right to repair bill. Why are you mad, Lewis? You have access to right to repair. And then you read the bill and it says, excludes boats, excludes cars, excludes game consoles, excludes home appliances. And it's funny because at the same time that this law got passed, there was a fan of mine that 3D printed a pirate ship so that I could put it in my pond, and it kept getting messed up in the mail, and I'm reading this bill at the same time, and I'm just wondering to myself, half kidding, would I be allowed to fix this little chip that got shipped to me? I mean, Marine? It's a boat. Just because the law says that it wants to keep people safe does not mean that that is what it's going to do. So let's read some of the subsections here that have been written by people that did not think through how the internet works and how they would fuck everything up. The features referred to in subsection 9 are those which, if used or applied by a user, result in use by the service or systems process designed to effectively prevent non-verified users from interacting with content which that user generates, uploads, or shares in the service, and reduce the likelihood of that user encountering content which non-verified users generate, upload, or share in the service. So what do we mean by prevent non-verified users from interacting with content which that user generates? If I am posting to Wikipedia, that I need to be able to have the option to say, I do not want non-verified people to be able to interact with or edit my content. Wikipedia is one of the largest online encyclopedias in the world. It's one of the most used. Whether or not you like Wikipedia, you don't like them because there's an article that said something that you don't like, I don't give a fuck about that for the moment. Just put that aside to focus on the fact that this law is trying to ruin the internet. How does Wikipedia work? How do websites like that work? My wiki is a wiki that I allow anybody to edit. You can have a login where you have a username. You can have a username and put your real name in there, or you can just edit it anonymously. That's how Wikipedia works. Wikipedia are millions and billions of people around the world angry that somebody else said something wrong on the internet. There's that old adage, you don't ask for the right answer, you just post the wrong answer and wait for people to correct you, and Wikipedia's been doing that for 21 years. Whether or not you like every article, I don't care. They do a pretty damn good job of it so far. If you take a look at my wiki, you'll see that people can edit with their username, but also people can edit my wiki with their, just shows their IP address. I have no idea who this person is. Maybe they use the VPN. I don't know if they're a man or a woman. I don't know what their religion is. I don't know what country they're from. And frankly, I don't care. All I know is that they made an edit to my wiki. And if they're wrong, somebody else halfway across the world is going to hear it and correct them. That's the way it works. Now, if you do this, if you require that people have an option to say, I don't want unverified users to be able to edit my content, how does that work? Does that mean that Wikipedia now has to force verification of all their editors? Let's say that you are reporting on something fucked up that happened in a very repressive country, and you want to post that, but you don't want to put your name to it because you don't want that repressive regime to know that you're the one that wrote the fucking document. You just don't use Wikipedia anymore? Nobody thought this through. Either that, or they did think it through, and they just don't care. Why is this a concern? Because websites that contain your personal data sometimes get hacked. Even if they verify your personal data and don't require that that personal identifiable information be posted publicly, it's still going to be stored on their server somewhere. And sometimes servers get hacked. One of the instances of this happening recently was with this app thing called TAP. TAP is essentially Yelp for women to rate men and how their dates were, whether they were safe or not safe or anything else. Just reading the titles of these articles. First came T, then came the male rage. What to know about the hack at T app. Why does this women-only platform have toxic men so mad? By the way, I'm just going to throw that out there, that when you read all of these titles, great job, Standard Media. But what you've done is you've created a bunch of titles that imply or just directly say that if you have any concerns, thoughts, questions, bad feelings towards the idea of Yelp for people, something that sounds like a fucking season 8 Black Mirror episode, that you are toxic, that you are bad. When you think about what it is, it's dating. Dating and intimate relationships is one of those things that's up there as one of those areas where we're like most likely, if we are in the heat of the passion of the moment, to say something that's exaggerated or maybe not true to damage somebody's reputation because we are angry and pissed off. It's one of the number one things I can imagine that people are taking part in, where they are going to have this incentive structure emotionally to say something fucked up, either gender. And you've created a website that's essentially Yelp for that. And you are surprised that there are people that think that that might not go well. And you have a website where people can put all those details next to somebody's name, their face, text messages going back and forth of what they thought were private details. If somebody thinks that that might be a bad fucking idea, maybe it'll lead to shit like, I don't know, people getting accused of fucking their dogs because somebody didn't like them on a dating website. You're toxic. You're bad. You're evil. And one of the things I want to bring up here is I read a lot of mainstream news, and I get shit from my audience all the time. You read Bloomberg, you read the New York Times, you're an idiot. When I'll ask what they consume, it'll be like 99% of it'll be just one dude on YouTube or just some person's Substack of some guy that's a homesteader that hasn't left his house in 5 years. And everybody will wonder, why do you believe that over real investigative journalism? And the way this usually works, in my experience, is they will read about a story like this, where they are knowledgeable on that particular topic. They'll read all these titles. They'll think, every single one of these people fucking hates me. They'll go online and they'll find one nut job that on this particular issue gives them a 100% calm, rational, normal take. And they'll go, hey, I'm going to listen to that guy. And then that guy lies to them about 80,000 other fucking things. But he got away with it because you eroded your trust by stupid shit like this. The reason this bothers me is the sheer amount of shit that I have to apologize for when going over to my good friends of yesteryear who used to believe in normal shit that now believe in all this other kind of psychotic crap. You know, I get it. You've been listening to that person and it makes sense. You want to read this thing over here because there is a lot of citations, there's a lot of evidence, all the good stuff. Oh yeah, that outlet said this about that. There's no way I would trust them. Yeah, I know. When they covered this story, they all covered it in this stupid way. I'm sorry, trust me, I get it. But let's take a look at this over here. If you want to try and understand why it is that there are many people that you believe do not understand or accept objective reality as it is in 2025, you cannot analyze that in a vacuum. You must analyze it through the lens of how issues like this are covered. This doesn't happen with 1 article or 10 articles or even 1,000 articles. It happens 100,000 little cuts. And at the end of it, dude who hasn't left his house in 2 years with a Substack that's written at a 3rd grade level is more authoritative than most of the news. If you want to continue contributing to that, keep writing like this. Good job. If you want to really have a deep understanding of why it is your friend, your family member, your relative, your neighbor has gone down some psycho-conspiracy rabbit hole with some particular thing and they just don't want to listen to any of what's going on in actual factual reality, something that can annoy me at times, maybe it's not a great idea to imply across like 20 or 40 different news websites that if men don't think that Yelp for people is a good idea, that they're bad. I'm just going to put that on the table. I am not somebody who thinks that this should be illegal. I had an excellent debate with my personal trainer about this the other day at the gym. He was kind of saying, well, there are certain types of privacy that you have a right to when you're having private conversations. Where do we draw the line there? If I tell my friends about a bad date, is that bad? If I show my friend the text message, is that bad? If I write a blog about my bad date, is that bad? If I write a blog about my bad date and I post the screenshots of the text messages, but I blur the number, if I don't blur the number, what is and is not illegal? Personally, I'm a big free speech person. I don't think that any of what they were doing on this website should be considered illegal, nor do I believe that they should even be removed from the App Store. I don't think that app should get removed from the App Store. Not everything that people do that I think is shitty is something that should be illegal or not allowed. This website required that you verify that you are a real woman. They had to take a selfie. They had to upload information that would verify you are a real person, so now you can go on the website and make up whatever the fuck you want to make up. Because this website had garbage operational security, they got hacked, and after they got hacked, all these photos were then placed on websites where people could rate them in a hot or not fashion. It's like that old Seinfeld episode where there's a telemarketer that calls Jerry, and Jerry says, I don't really have time to talk right now, but if you give me your home number, I can call you later. He's like, oh, I don't really want to do that. And Jerry says, is that because you don't want people calling you in your house? And the telemarketer goes, yeah. And then Jerry says, well, now you know how I feel. I'm not saying leaking people's personal data is okay. Don't do that. But maybe this could be a teachable moment. You don't like when people leak your personal data and use it to judge you on a public website. now you know how everybody else feels. Can we just all come together and decide that this is a bad thing to do? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe life is destined to be a Black Mirror episode. Maybe there's nothing we can do about it. I try to push back against that on this channel. The point of the matter is that people's information can be leaked. These websites can be hacked. So if you are running Wikipedia and I am living in a repressive country where I'm not allowed to vote, I'm not allowed to drive, I'm not allowed to speak or have an opinion, and I want to talk about something happening in that country, do you think I'm going to do that if I'm required to upload a picture of myself and verify my age and ID? Fuck no. Wikipedia is going to look like a very different place. Many websites are going to look like different places as a result of the way this law was written, which is why you don't fuck with the internet this way. Do not try to regulate the internet the way the United States tries to legislate consumer protection. It's just a bad thing. Just stop doing that shit. This is interesting from the Washington Post about a similar type of forum. When a man in his late 20s found he was posted to a Florida group, he thought the initial responses seemed harmless. The accompanying photo showed him with his dogs, he said, and much of the chatter centered on the animals. After someone shared screenshots of the post with him, he initially shrugged it off, but later he said things took a jaw-dropping turn. A group member accused him of having sex with his dogs. And this is what happens when you create Yelp for men. It was a very interesting experience I had almost 10 years ago. I was going out with somebody, stopped going out with that one person. I see this ridiculous flurry of just insane stuff get posted to social media about me that is, it's not even like it's like a bad representation of me. It's just, that did not happen. So I call her up and she's very, very excited. She's like, hi, it's great to hear from you. And I say, hi, so you know why I'm calling, right? And she's like, oh, but it's just so great to hear your voice. And I go, okay, you see the stuff that you posted over here, right? And she's like, oh. I'm like, well, that's, and then she like cuts me off halfway through and is like, well, I wasn't hearing from you. Like, that's not true, right? And she goes, well, yeah, but like, how was I going to get you to call me? And that moment, it kind of reminded me of that one scene from Memento where the woman tells him all the fucked up shit that she's going to do to him. He doesn't have a memory, so he has to write everything down. You won't remember. This thing. I found this. I had an older version of this. I ran to it. Can you say that again?
Concentrate.
Yeah. I mean, you just weren't calling me, so I don't know what I was supposed to do. So none of the stuff you posted is true. You know it isn't. Great, I have you saying that on recording. Never mention my name again. And I hang up the phone and realize my dating choices are almost as bad as my father's. Not as bad. Almost. One of the interesting things here is that Spotify has age verification now as well, and this is going to be another website where you can be uploading more personally identifiable information. This page showed up just a few days ago. This was not there before. Age-restricted content and checking your age. When will I use age check? How does the age check work? There's a facial age estimation. When prompted to, enable camera access and take a photo of yourself following the in-app instructions. This is going to be what you need to do if you want to access certain type of content that has been flagged as for 18 plus on Spotify. Now, one of the things that people have been saying is, what do you think of the fact that you will have to verify yourself by your face in order to listen to music online? My thought on that is, do not use Spotify if you value your privacy at all. This is a company that has patented the ability to listen to what's going on around you, to figure out what your mood is for the purposes of logging it, and to what? Sell you ads or choose music for you? It's weird. This is in consumerrights.wiki. Voice and environmental and surveillance patent. The audio signals may be recorded in real time or may correspond to previously recorded audio signals. For example, such metadata might include an emotional state. In one example aspect, the content metadata includes an emotional state of the speaker providing the voice. Back in 2021, Spotify was granted U.S. Patent 1089-1948b2 for the identification of taste attributes from an audio signal. This describes tech that 1. Analyzes what users say. 2. Analyzes background noise to determine where you are. 3. Scores incoming data to guess a user's mood or emotional state. The patent describes listening to birds chirping, printers printing, or cars in a street. This technology enables Spotify to create detailed profiles of their users' activities, how they feel, and social interactions without users understanding that the data is being collected in this way. This is marketed as a music recommendation system. The patent demonstrates that Spotify's capabilities go far further than music taste evaluation with the ability for personal surveillance. According to a statement Spotify gave at News Media, they are not currently using this in their service. However, they have not committed to never using this technology on their service. And one of the things that I would ask is, if you are not going to use this, then why the fuck are you patenting it? Identification of taste attributes from an audio signal. This is 11 pages. I went over it on a live stream while I was writing that article a while ago. It's creepy. If this was the kick that you needed to decide that you were not going to log into Spotify anymore, it's a little late, but late is better than never. Don't use Spotify to listen to your music. You don't own it. If Spotify goes away, all the money you gave them, all the songs in your playlist are gone forever. I would highly suggest that instead of doing that, you go to eBay, You buy a CD version of the things that you like, and then take those CDs, you can rip them, you legally own it, you have a used copy, which costs way less than buying a new copy, and then you put all that stuff on your hard drive where it belongs. And then you can curate your own playlists. If you back up your data properly and you keep your CDs stored properly, it will never go away from you. I know it's annoying. I know that ripping CDs is aggravating, ripping anything is aggravating, but if you do that, you have access to what you bought and paid for forever. And you know that you have original quality. You don't have to worry about the encoder that somebody used, or if they transcoded something that they transcoded when they pirated it. It's all yours. I like owning my media, and I think that you'll like owning your media too. We've gone a little bit too far in the direction of convenience. I understand that people like having algorithms that recommend them stuff, and they like not having to rip things and just, here, let me just type in something, and the music I want to listen to just automatically comes up. Once we're at the point where advertising companies masquerading as content companies have the ability to take away access to your content at will and figure out your emotional state, things have gone too far. I'm just going to throw that out there. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that the Online Safety Act is something that's a good idea, or do you think that this is just another one of those things where they throw the words terrorism, children, pornography at the wall, and they hope that it sticks? Personally, I'm happy seeing that millions and millions of new Google searches in the UK for VPN have popped up. Just a stupid shower thought. Sometimes I wonder with these age verification laws, because we have that here in Texas, if you wish to view a pornographic website, you need to use age verification, which you don't. You just use a VPN, or you find a website that doesn't care about the law. Sometimes I wonder, is this just a really sneaky way for the Texas State Senate to ensure that the next generation is more computer savvy than mine? Because when I was a kid, I noticed that my parents weren't really very tech savvy. We had to be tech savvy in the 90s and early 2000s using the internet just because of the way it was put together. I mean, you're on Windows 95 or Windows XP and you click onto the wrong website in Internet Explorer, you have a virus inserted into your registry. It was very different times. You couldn't go online and buy a song for $1 or just stream stuff for free. If you wanted to watch a certain television show or listen to a certain piece of music and you did not have the ability to drive to the store to get it, you had to pirate it. And the piracy back then was just, we didn't have the iTunes store or anything like that. Now you have walled gardens, you have iPads, you have app stores. It's a different world. And I've noticed that Gen Z, or at least some Gen Z people that I meet, are less technically savvy, not because they're not smart, but just because so much stuff has been made easy that there is not really the same incentive structure to figure all this shit out. So what if you created a law that incentivizes every man who hits puberty to understand what TCP/IP is, what is a VPN, what is IPv4 versus IPv6? If I set up my VPN and it's leaking my IP via IPv6, how do I stop it from doing that when I just wanted to use IPv4? All to access certain types of content that they might become motivated to access at that particular point in time. Now, I was talking to somebody recently, way older than me. He's been programming almost as long as I've been alive. This is somebody that's been programming back in the day when you had those text editors that would only show you one line of code at a time because you had a printer, and the way that you would view what was on the line was by printing it. This person is very, very computer savvy. So I'm just kind of curious when they're talking about a DNS leak issue and them not understanding the concept of having a VPN where IPv4 works, but IPv6 is not, and it's leaking your real IP. I'm just thinking, how did you get to this point in your life, this intelligent at programming, and just never run into this thing? Because if you don't know what it is, I get it. And if you do know what it is, I get it. I just don't understand learning it at your age. He just smirks and says I was visiting a website that I can't visit in the state of Texas. And I'm like, yeah, this is after the law got passed. But that's when it came to me that this entire concept could be a way of making people more computer literate. Because this person who's been an exceptional programmer their entire life never understood the concept of a DNS leak until they needed a VPN to watch porn. Anyway, I wish that this was just some sort of psyop to make people, the younger generation, more computer literate. It's not. They actually think they're making the internet better. Make sure that they understand that they're not. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.